Warning.
Watch very closely now. 3, 2, 1. Bzow! Check that out.
The following podcast features terrible jokes.
You know you can use Hot Wheels cars when you need to make a saving throw in D&D? Every car is die-cast.
Usually about board games.
We want the fun. Gotta have that fun.
Must insist that no one attempt to recreate any joke performed on this podcast.
We had less technical issues than $1 million company.
All right!
This is Boards and Swords.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Boards and Swords. This is a podcast featuring bad jokes, good folks, and some tabletop games. I'm going to spin it right over there to my partner in crime, Mr. Philip Herbig. How are you doing?
What's going on, everybody?
Forget to unmute the mic.
I did. I
I
forgot to
unmute
unmute
the mic when I breathe. I'm not even going to joke cough because I'm going to go ahead and warn you there's probably going to be some coughing that happens in this episode. Just because, like, I think that's why I made fun of it last time, and then COVID was like, we're not done with you yet. So,
Back here, boy.
yeah. In fact, this episode's going to be a little weird because of that. Our schedules got booted around. So, we were scheduled to be last week to have Whistler, the creator of the Rapscallion RPG, on to talk about their game, and they couldn't be here this time. So I actually, a couple hours ago, sat down with them and recorded the interview, and then we're going to play it here on the stream, and hopefully everything goes well. The video's a little iffy on their camera because it was really weird because I was watching on one screen and it looked fine, but I guess the color was off, so it was a little bit washed out normally. So we'll see.
Are we gonna do it? Are we gonna do it like the newsroom, where you hit play and then it's like, all right, we got 4 minutes, 12 seconds. We can go do something real quick.
I mean, I could actually when I do hit play, I think it will cut our audio, but.
Okay.
I have it so that I can hit pause and we can chat if there's like a question that comes up that like I know the answer to.
Gotcha.
So, lots to do, but first we got to talk about some news.
News.
All right. Oh, my Steam Deck went. There we go. Okay, let's get. Nope, that's the wrong button. There we go. That's the right one. All right. Hey, Philip, to be more eco-friendly, I told a construction friend that they should start using a wood-based cement to kind of hold tiles together. It was a great idea until the walls kept talking and saying, I am grout. So Asmodee is releasing a new game called Flatiron. I got to show Mike this because I know he's big into city building games. But Asmodee will release Flatiron, a new city-building game by Ludonova in retail on September 13th. So that was 10 days ago. In Flatiron, players assume the roles of developers in the early 20th century as they are competing to construct the Flatiron building. They'll need to master the art of the business and build up their companies by adding cards to their player boards. The cards added to the boards let them later perform impactful actions on the Manhattan board. The goal of the game is to earn the most victory points by managing construction objectives, keeping a good public image, and dealing with New York City Council. 1 to 2 players plays in 45 minutes. So, and it seems kind of bland, but you're also going to get 3 stories related to Asmodee later, so I felt like I should filter this out with some actual board game stuff. Listen, I mean, when Asmodee says, or when Hasbro says stupid stuff, I'm gonna talk about it on the show. It's just a certainty. So yeah, this seems kind of cool because not only is it the city building, but it's the actual like I gotta build up my company to then build the city. So if you wanted kind of that, that I know I don't want to say that 18xx because I've never really played one of those, but they always have like the you're buying stocks and companies and all that, but that kind of reminds me of that, where it's like I'm building up the company, but then also I got to use the company to do the thing. So, moving on.
What is that building?
The Flatiron building?
Is that actually the Flatiron building?
I think that's what it's supposed to be. It reminds me of the Continental in John Wick.
Is that? Yeah, that's a triangle building. Okay. The Flatiron building. Okay, cool.
I came up with a new D&D parody song about my rogue. It's called "I Got Those Moves with Dagger." So, Darrington Press, which Darrington Press, in case you don't know what that is, Darrington Press is the kind of publishing arm of Critical Role and all those things. They've revealed details for its upcoming campaign-centered tabletop role-playing game, Daggerheart, set to release next spring. This is what threw me off because it had been announced last year, but it's been in development for a while. Fantasy-themed role-playing game designed to support long-term campaign play. The game combines card-based and dice-based mechanics to create a richly detailed system for character design and development while giving players input in the evolution of the campaign story. The core set includes a game rulebook, 300 pages long, 279 illustrated cards, and a box. All of that for MSRP of $59.99. That's not bad. That's actually really good. Deluxe limited edition version will be offered, expanding the core set with a GM screen, 9-piece dice set with satin dice bag, acrylic tokens, and a pad of character sheets. MSRP of, okay, that's what I was thinking, $149.99, and I'm pretty sure this is that.
There we go.
Yeah, I think this is product art, but this is what I'm assuming is the what's it called? The deluxe, the limited version.
That makes sense. Yeah. So it's I'm getting feedback of myself on your. And then it went away.
Yeah,
of course it didn't.
I'm not hearing it on my end.
So this is going to be another Romance of the Nine Empires?
No, this looks RPG straight up. It's just it has a lot of card-based play in it.
Okay.
The cards provide structure to character creation through a variety of card types, including cards for character ancestry, community, subclass, and domain. So maybe it's like how you can kind of make things a little bit more dynamic than just like, oh, they're a rogue. Well, that's an elf. So maybe it's like adding extra pieces to that. So, okay, this must be the standard set right here, where you get like the cards, the box, and the book. So that's not bad for $60. That's not bad.
It's not. It's pretty good, yeah. I'm digging it.
By the way, Russell Beadle says the exterior facade of the John Wick film Continental was filmed at the Flatiron-shaped Beaver Building at 1 Wall Street Court in the financial district of Manhattan. Boom! So I think this is the same building.
Well, at the Flatiron-shaped Beaver Building.
So are there multiple Flatiron-shaped buildings in Manhattan? Still close enough. I'm still calling it. For me, at least. I know there are people that are probably like enthusiastic about this Daggerheart set. It's just weird because like nobody in our group is like super into Critical Role. Unlike like some of the other games, like you talk about what's it called, Dimension 20 and all that. We got people that love that stuff, and I mean it's good, but not as much through Critical Role, except for when it crosses over with Dimension 20 and like Brennan's on Critical Role. All right. Moving on here. So Netflix is doing an animated show set in the Magic universe. So I submitted my pitch. It's Jay Spalarin accidentally gets stuck on our world where he has to solve crimes. And the name is called Planeswalker Texas Ranger. But for real, they are doing, and so I guess Netflix had, because I saw a couple other Netflix announcements. Dang it, Flatiron Building, originally the Fuller Building, is a 22-story 280 foot tall steel frame triangular building at 175th 175th 5th Avenue in the Flatiron district neighborhood of Manhattan. So those are two different buildings. Dang it.
Two different buildings.
They're
They
shaped the same.
probably because of the way some of the streets, like where the Flatiron building is and probably where the Beaver building is,
Yeah.
there have to be like at those points of the triangle. It's like, shit, we got to put a building in here.
Yeah. We don't have to, but we're going to make more money if we put a building in here. So, yeah, I think Netflix, getting back to the story, I think Netflix had some big announcement of, like, here's all the upcoming stuff that we have, because I saw some other Netflix-related announcements. But one of the things they said is Magic the Gathering is going to be having an animated show on Netflix. Magic the Gathering animated series heading to small screens soon. Welcome in Praetors and Planeswalkers. If you enjoyed Netflix adaptations of The Witcher, Avatar, and One Piece, I have exciting news for you. They recently began production on a new series based in the Magic the Gathering universe, and this claims it's going to be animated, which I feel like is the best way to do Magic the Gathering.
100% the best way. The amount of budget that would be spent on CGI.
Yeah, exactly. Helmed by showrunner Terry Matalas, known for his work on Star Trek Picard. There's some ups and downs on that one.
I can.
The show will tell the exciting tales of the multiverse and exciting new. That's the other thing. I feel like a Magic the Gathering show needs to be like, what's it called? Not episodic. Like, where each show is kind of like a standalone show.
Okay. I'm seeing that.
There's a word for it, and I can't think of it right now. Where just like it's like Tales, you call it like Tales from the Multiverse or something, and
Yeah, like
you can even have cross
standalone.
It's like I'm trying to remember the word.
There is a big fancier term. You're right.
Yeah. Anthological? No. Something along those lines. Anyway, where like you could even have like the same cast of characters, but maybe it's like this time, Jace is in Ravnica, and next time Chandra's on some other place.
I think anthology is the right term. Because that's what the Animatrix was.
Yeah. Those new to this well-known million fan play already know Magic is the ultimate storytelling sandbox, brimming with iconic, complex characters, extraordinary mind-bending powers. Anthology series is that's what I was thinking of. It portals to every genre imaginable. It also is a powerful reminder that no matter what culture, country, or plane of existence you come from, we can all unite and become heroes together. I mean, and I wouldn't even mind like if they did a couple of crossover where it's like, okay, the season finale is going to be 2 episodes and it's going to kind of tie in some story bits from other. Actually, you know what? I'm describing What If is what I'm describing.
Yeah, we're describing What If is what's going on. I want the novels. The
ones that came in the fat packs.
Yes, the books that came in the fat packs, but like Mishra and what was his brother's name? Ezra, yes, Urza. Mishra and Urza, animate that whole storyline because that was amazing.
Yeah, the problem is I don't think you can that. That's not really a place to go because that's like so old Magic history that you're not going to get anybody interested in current Magic. Like, oh, let me go get those Urza cards. Oh wait. Let me go pay $200 for some Urza cards. Whereas if you do, it was Ileana, Jace. I forgot some of these other people's names. But you do some of those current guys, and they can just be. You can even have a Magic. You can sell Magic decks themed around the different episodes or pieces of the show, and people are like, "I like that episode. I'm gonna go buy that deck and play it twice." But still,
we got your money.
Exactly. That's what's it just prints money. All right.
Oh yeah, War of the Spark, Fire X and Invasion era.
Which that's when they brought like Phyrexia back into kind of like some of the more current day stuff. I know the War of the Spark stuff, and then the Phyrexia invasion was like before or after that. One of the two. That's where like my Magic history gets a little rough, and it was just I watched a YouTube video that was like an hour and a half long of just explaining Magic history lore.
My Magic history started with Cold Snap and stopped with Time Spiral.
That's about where I was at the heart of it, and then I just came back when I got Chloe into it.
Just slivers everywhere.
Slivers.
That's all I do.
All right.
I do like that guy on TikTok who does Magic stuff. Oh, hey man, what are you playing? And it's like, yeah, I've got a sliver deck. All right, well, good game. It's been fun. We didn't even play, guys. Yep,
Magic Arena is pretty good. Roser 40K, I've been hooked on Magic Arena lately. Magic Arena is great, and you can actually play a decent amount for free. That's the best part of it, is you don't need to buy stuff in it.
Speaking of Magic,
A friend of mine started making funny pictures related to Ghostbusters, but then he started adding bits like ICANN has cheeseburger on them. So I told him, I was like, hey, don't cross the memes. So no buying stuff is why I started playing it. Yep, exactly. Wizards of the Ghost is dropping a new secret layer, which is kind of like one-timed. I think they're usually themed cards. Sometimes they might be brand new cards. But they're usually like a special super duper set that's like usually more money like than normal. It's like let's pay a lot for like 5 cards kind of thing. So for the upcoming, which goes on sale around the same time as the Dustmourn set launch, which is probably in about this month sometime. Wizards of the Coast went and tapped the Ghostbusters license for a new Secret Lair and Ghostbusters Slimer set. The drop features everyone's favorite Hunger Green ghost on 5 cards. The Mimeoplasm as Slimer, Voracious Apparition, Trickbind as Slimed, and Windfall as Slimer's Feast. Yeah, if I remember right, this is just they take old cards and retheme. The Secret Lair is they like retheme older cards using other properties.
Okay.
So let's see if I can pull up. I can't. They don't have the individual pictures on there, but they do have like the whole group here now with actual slime. You buy the card. Oh man, I've been slimed. So the artwork looks great on these. It reminds me of the IDW comics they have going on here. There we go.
Oh, okay. Is that the can I get this?
Yeah, I'm assuming it shows underneath what the actual card is supposed to be.
Oh, Slimed Trick Mind.
Yeah.
Slimer, voracious
I know, like,
apparition.
because like there's
that's a legendary creature. He can be a commander, can't he?
Yeah, he can. I saw that. Because like they did a Walking Dead secret layer, like that was like one of the first secret layers that they did with other properties.
Okay.
And I think they did a Transformers one.
I do remember seeing that. Yeah.
Hold on. See if I can get like a list of all the other secret layer sets they've done. Here we go. What are secret layers in Magic? They're limited edition bundles using 3 to 7 Magic cards with a variety of themes. It's like a love letter for Magic fans with eye-popping designs and never-before-seen art styles. Makes them exciting is that each one can be announced at any time at the drop of a hat. Yeah, it looks like you can only get secret lair drops online.
With the exception of the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah. Or you can like get them at other places who then buy them online and resell them. Hold on, let's see if you can. Let's see if the secret lair. All right, this should be a game here. Didn't they just do a That's right. I think they did do a Monty Python one. Oh, D&D 50th. All right, no peeking. D&D 50th secret lair. How much you think it goes for? Keep in mind this is probably like 5 cards.
Okay, it's probably like 5 cards.
Yep.
I'm gonna say $100.
That's kind of what I was thinking. These are all like die.
Those are dice.
Oh. Oh, do they come with cards? Hold on. Oh, this one says $30.
What?
That's clearly not the expensive version. Then
Right? Yeah, that's
get that foil version. Oh, the foil is only like $10 more.
Oh, okay. That's annoying. That's actually kind of annoying.
What?
Because all of those are it's the dice picture and not a picture of like the 5 cards in the bundle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here we are cruising the store page and you're like, "Oh, it's just dice."
Yeah. Shipping begins August 29th. So you can get these now. But yeah, I think there was actually a Monty Python one as well. That's when they want to do like 5 cards of something like, it's a secret lair drop. Give us a bunch of money for 5 cards.
Money.
So let's see. The stuff they got left. Oh, so I guess each one is like themed around different aspects. Like here's adventures, and like they show like the classic Tomb of Horrors kind of cards. So I guess they came out with a couple of different sets. Like these are themed around beholders. Loot the room with everything bundle. So maybe this was everything that they came out with for Secret Lair.
Foil and non-foil.
Yeah. Both sold out, so you're not getting that. So that was probably like $200.
Festival in a Box, Las Vegas 2024. Product not to scale.
Oh, is this happening now? View all products. This is like high quality content here.
This is
Festival in a Box, Las Vegas.
Yeah, that was already sold out.
I thought that said.
I know, it does say happening now.
It looked like Doctor Who in the background. Want to know a secret lair?
Oh, yeah, it was sold out.
Ah. Magic Con. Oh, okay. So there was like a Magic Con thing, and they made a drop for it. Okay. All right, I'm getting it now. So yeah, if you want Slimer cards. So I mean, this might be what, like $50? Maybe at the most. That's not.
Maybe, yeah.
It's a lot of money for Magic cards, but it's not as much as it could be.
Yeah, that is.
Window shopping, the podcast.
The podcast.
All right. Lastly, and the thing I'm sure a couple people are aware of, since they got posted in our chat. Aside from the fact that they'd get sued, I really want to see someone open up a geeky barbershop and called it Baldur's Gate. Oh boy. So, the CEO of Hasbro basically doesn't know when to shut up. Because, D&D's been putting out all this time saying, like, hey, we're not going to use AI in our products. We're not going to use AI in our products. Philip, you remember us talking about how D&D was not going to use AI in their products because, like, it accidentally...
They said it. They said we are never going to use AI in our products.
So, yeah, except for... Then in a Goldman Sachs webcast as part of the Communicopia Technology Conference, which has speakers from all around the tech industry, Hasbro CEO Chris Cox, which I could make a joke on that alone, but
That's a made-up name.
gave potential investors a peek behind the scenes at how Hasbro is using play to leverage its brands. The quotation marks, not mine. They spoke about how Baldur's Gate 3 and the success that followed it, as well as Hasbro going all in on digital and outlining some of the games they had development. Spoiler alert, there may be another D&D game coming soon, which is like, that's what I was talking about, how like the money in D&D is merchandising and licensing. Like that's the kind of thing they should be going for. However,
D&D, the flamethrower. D&D, the bedsheet.
I mean, the flamethrower would sell money.
That would
However, he didn't know when to stop talking, and towards the end of the webcast, he took a question about bending the cost curve. And, you know, that's, like they mentioned in the article, it's about making things cheaper. And then Cox spoke about the potential of AI and its use in the company, saying that they've already been using it. It's mostly machine-based learning AI or proprietary AI as opposed to a ChatGPT approach. Fun fact, that's what a machine learning-based AI is called, is ChatGPT. So I don't like calling it AI, because it's machine-based learning. We will deploy it significantly and liberally internally as both a knowledge worker aid and as a development aid. I'm probably more excited, though, in terms of the playful elements of AI. So then he goes on to say this, like, I play D&D with 30 or 40 people regularly. There's not a single person who doesn't use AI somehow for either campaign development or character development or story ideas. That's a clear signal that we need to be embracing it. First of all, there's
how many of those 30 or 40 people are subordinates and they have to be in the conference room playing
First
D&D
of all, let's just talk about, let's start with that first piece of, that's a clear lie. There's no way the CEO of Hasbro is playing D&D regularly with 30 or 40 people. Like, I don't run a multi-million-dollar corporation. You know how hard it would be for me to play D&D regularly with 30 or 40 different people? There are people that run. There are people that run
with 6 people.
Yeah, there are people that run media companies that all they do is play D&D, and they don't probably play D&D with 30 or 40 people regularly. Like, so that alone is just like, that's some tech guy speak for, hey, I play Baldur's Gate with a bunch of people on a regular.
Is he including all the voices the DM has to do?
No, he's including the voices in his head.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Because I mean that could be up to 30 people.
So that's just, we haven't even gotten to the part. That part alone is just like, you're saying some bullshit there. Like the sensor is going off on my bullshit detector is kind of going off right there on that statement. Secondly, let's get to the actual meat of the statement where it says single person who doesn't use AI somehow for either campaign development or character development or story ideas. There's a big difference between somebody using AI for free content or develop content that they're using for a game versus a product where you could be paying actual people to develop things and you instead use AI. Completely two different scenarios. Me using AI to fill out the backstory for my rogue is not the same as me using AI to write a story about my rogue that I'm publishing as a fiction book.
For sale.
For
and putting
sale.
your name down as author.
Yeah.
Everything's going to have an asterisk next to it. By Christopher Renshaw, asterisk.
Yeah.
Supplemented by ChatGPT.
Now we know what executive time is for. All right. Apparently, he doesn't need to get paid as much, is what I'm hearing, because he's playing too much a D&D. Which is funny, because for someone who's playing a lot of D&D, he certainly doesn't know a single fucking thing about D&D. I've exceeded our quota on cussing already in this episode on just this one story. Like,
and you did it.
yeah, I know, right?
Hey, excuse me, sir. You're taking my job.
Like, this article even says it here. First of all, I don't think he actually plays D&D with 30 or 40 people regularly, unless you're somehow suggesting that the CEO of a billion-dollar corporation has enough leisure time for multiple games of D&D on the regular. But that would mean he probably doesn't work very many hours, and that can't be true. Yeah, just because Bryce and Chet use ChatGPT to come up with names for fantasy cocaine that aren't just fantasy cocaine doesn't mean that the community wants you to use AI.
Well, first off, it's space cocaine. I mean, gosh, get it
Well,
right.
not in D&D, though.
Well, in Spelljammer.
That's true. No, then you call it spell cocaine.
Oh, that's right, spell cocaine.
The jammer is the
Dragon cocaine.
That's not the jammer. The jammer is my cocaine. But yeah, so if you want more reasons to boycott D&D, here you go. Like, the people that are going to play it are going to play it. It is what it is. None of the people that are, they're not going to, the people that are going to boycott it have already been boycotting it.
Yes.
But speaking of which, I did get the you can't see it, and I don't know if my cord would reach long enough, but I managed to get the super duper deluxe version of the player's handbook.
The 24?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can reach it. I can reach it. Ah, here we go. Woo.
Nice.
This time I'm keeping this one. I'm keeping at least for the core 3 books, I'm going to keep the good version, keep the fancy cover. I've given away enough. I've given away a plot of fancy covers. I'm keeping this one. But if you are open to other games, we've got people coming on in the next couple weeks to talk about them. Especially like we got Tales of the Valiant, which you might also be able to. I don't know if one. Nah, you probably can't read it. Up there as well. That's on my to read pile. But in the meantime, Philip, what's this Patreon thing I'm hearing all about?
Well, so the party on Wade is that's patreon.com/boards and swords, boardsandswords.com/patreon. Both those links are going to get you where you need to go. We got a bunch of great stuff in there, folks. All right. So what we've got here right now, we got the Discord. All right. The Discord is great. Everybody has access to the Discord, but for all of our partiers, we've got super secret squirrel channels. We've got what is that? Patreon only stream.
Yeah, so
There's
we said this thing last time where it was like, hey, we're gonna stream us playing like Space Marine 2 and stuff, and then I got sick and mostly played Space Marine 2 in my bed. So that didn't necessarily happen. But at the same time, there was a couple people that's like, in fact, a few patrons that were like, I don't know if I care about watching you play Space Marine 2. And I'm like, well, the play is not necessarily the fun part. It's the hearing us bicker like an old married couple during it. That's the fun part. But it also got me to thinking. It's like, well, we have this stream that I've always wanted to do, like bonus stuff where it's like us commenting on movies and stuff. And I was like, we could do that with the Discord, in the Discord
Boards
stream.
and Swords Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's just like, we'll get a time together. It's like a Boards and Swords movie night. We can even do votes for what's coming up next. Like, I still want to do the original 1989 Batman and have like a running counter of how many times the Monarch Theater appears in the background, because the set was apparently so small that you see like every other shot has the Monarch Theater in the background, and you can tell because it's like a giant sign. It's like counting the carts in the last week's Nova Open piece. It's just like it just keeps happening.
So many cards.
So we've got that.
We've got that. We've got that in there. We've got some higher tier stuff. Chris will dad joke the absolute hell out of your favorite games. I've been there, guys. It's so bad, it's good.
That's what they tell me.
And that's what she said.
I mean, you said it, not me.
Later on, there's dice, and then at the pinnacle, there will be some sort of playing of some sort of RPG.
In fact,
at some sort of time,
and this is another thing that got suggested to me for this is like, I have these RPGs that I read and review on the show, and that's and on the podcast and stuff. But it's like some people may want to try out a game, but they don't necessarily have a group for it. And especially it's like, I'm obsessed with Warhammer. There's a lot of people that like hearing me talk about Warhammer, but they don't want to buy any Warhammer stuff. Like, they don't want to spend hundreds of dollars at GW. So someone was like, why don't you just do like a Warhammer one-shot for like patrons or something? I was like, that's not a bad idea. So something else I'm thinking about, and, vote with your wallet. If people start jumping in on the Patreon, then I know that that's something people want.
there you go.
Chances are it's going to go in order of money value. So while we appreciate at the $1 value, I'll probably start with like the $1 or $2 $10 and the $5 that we have. They'll get first priority in any sort of games, and then it'll get filled out with everybody else. But yeah, that's some of the things we've got going on. So if you're interested in any of that, then head on over to boardsandswords.com/Patreon or patreon.com/boardsandswords. They both work. Isn't that weird?
Science.
It's like the internet or something.
So crazy.
All right, and with that,
you didn't use AI to generate that, did you?
No, I did not. I did
right.
do some Google searching for it, but
Gotta disclose that stuff,
Yeah. All right. With that, I've got an interview set up here with Whistler. I'm going to queue it up and play it. If you've got, feel free to ask questions in the chat, and if I've got a response for you on them, I will pause it and answer it, or I may throw a chat in there that says, hey, that's coming up kind of piece. Secondly, I'm going to apologize for the video. Just something about like on my screen, on my computer, it's a little washed out. But when I was having the interview earlier, it was a little bit oranged out on Whistler's video for some reason. So I don't know how this is going to look on your screen. But apologies for that. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over here. I'm gonna click play. Hey everyone, I'm here with Whistler, the creator of the Rapscallion RPG from Magpie Games. So for those that aren't aware, why don't you give us the quick pitch on what Rapscallion is?
Sure. It's a tabletop RPG about pirates, where you play as a crew of pirates who are strange and weird and a little bit magical.
Okay.
Facing up against the law, and usually running from them. Nice.
Yeah, as I was doing, kind of looking into it a little bit more, yeah, it seems to be focused on more of the, this isn't just your regular historical pirates kind of thing. This is more mystical in a sense.
Yeah, you can do it. I think the 3 benchmarks I wanted to hit were One Piece, Pirates of the Caribbean, and probably Our Flag Means Death as well, although that show came out after I finished most of the work on Rapscallion, just kind of a fun coincidence. So focusing, you can have it in historical C, but it has to have a very healthy arm's length away from reality.
Gotcha.
So it's not a Black Sails game.
Right.
It's more of a One Piece game.
So how long have you been interested and involved in tabletop RPGs?
Oh my God. A long time. Not as long as I'd like, though. I didn't know anyone who liked them until I was in college, and I got to know someone in the same house as I was who liked them, and I played. I think it was D&D 3.5 for a while, and then I got into a Changeling the Lost
Oh
LARP
wow.
version. Yeah, World of Darkness, baby. And that was in the college, like sort of proper. And I ended up GMing for that, and I found I really enjoyed it, and was pretty good at it. And then after that, when I left college, I ended up working for a local game store. It was like comic books and games, but it had a very specific focus on indie RPGs. And so on my like low hours when no one was in the store, I just read these RPGs because I thought they were really fascinating. And one point I read Seventh Sea, I think second edition,
That's by
which we
John
had.
Wick, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's a great system. I really liked it. But after reading it, I realized that I was disappointed, not because it was a bad game, but because when I was reading it, I was implicitly like, oh, this is what I want out of a pirate system. And it wasn't giving me that. So then I sort of, just in my off time, I ended up writing Rapscallion.
So I just have to go back. It's funny hearing you talk about Changeling and World of Darkness, because it's just like when you talk about levels of RPG nerddom, it's like there's the level of World of Darkness, but you even went a step further because like I would consider Changelings like that second tier World of Darkness, because it's not like,
Yeah, it's
oh, I
like
did play werewolf and vampire. It's like, no, have you ever heard of
no,
Changeling or Exalted or
or like Mummy or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a whole, we went through all of them. And I cannot say that it is a good system. And I would never once recommend it to anyone, but I had a good time. It was fun. It was a fun, I think it was useful because I think a lot of people get into a hole, right? Where sort of the D&D drain,
Yeah.
where D&D sort of is the one system they know. And so they try to fit everything into the D&D shaped hole. And it's nice to have an early experience of like, no, I mean, Changeling isn't too different than D&D in the grand scheme of things, but it's different enough that you're like, oh, there's like a world out there to explore, a strange, often exceptionally verbose world. Especially just in World of Darkness alone, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Do you ever think that they'll make a new version of it like they have with Vampire and Werewolf? Or you think that's too far removed?
Oh, maybe. I actually have a friend who did some writing for, oh geez, it was because they haven't just done Werewolf and Vampire, they've done a couple other ones. I can't remember which one
Hunter,
it was.
Werewolf, Hunter, and Vampire. I think the current.
Yeah, I think it must have been Hunter. Yeah, I think it was Hunter. So I mean, I feel like that one it wasn't one of the big popular ones originally.
Right.
So maybe they'll hit the weird secondary ones along the way.
Sorry.
I don't know if I hope so though.
Word of Darkness tangent. So
yeah.
Getting back to, so I heard, I don't know where it was I saw it, but it was that Rapscallion was like 5 years in the making.
Is it?
Like,
I feel like it's more at this
oh yeah,
point.
okay.
Yeah.
I guess that it was that it had been just it had a huge development time. What was was that COVID that or other issues?
Yeah, no, it was several things because I wrote it kind of in my off time, and I was like 22 at the time, right? So like I was relatively new to um, writing for RPGs. I ended up bringing it to Metatopia, which is a local, uh, uh, you know, con for specifically for like playtesting new RPGs and board games and LARPs and things like that. And Mark from Magpie Games happened to be at one of my runs, and that's when he approached me. And I went through what Magpie Games calls its Ashcam process, which is they make a small, like 60-page pamphlet book, essentially. And this is for, I think, like newer designers, people who are not as experienced,
Right.
and they just want to see how people feel about it. Like this is like a chance to get it out there quickly and have people play test it, have people think about it. And it was pretty, I mean, it's weird because the Kickstarter for the proper book has already finished, and I still sometimes they're like, okay, here's all the money you earned from the Ashcan. And I'm like, what? People are still buying it. I guess the quick start's been out for a while. I don't know. But because that happened, and then the moment that happened, Mark was like, okay, let's, it seems like it's working out. Let's start working on a quick start. And then the pandemic hit. So there was sort of not on our side, we were working on it the whole time, but the paper industry ground to like a very abrupt halt. So there was just a lack of ability to get anything out there. I'm glad that it finally appeared, though. I'm excited. I have a lot of patience for this sort of thing, I think, comparatively.
Right.
I could work on things forever. I just love, it's like being in a little tinkering hole. You just go in the hole and you tinker for a while and you come out of it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So what was it like from your perspective, that the whole kind of the Ashcan sort of process? How did that feel as someone new to designing?
Very good. I would say I did all three things for Rapscallion. So I did the design, I did the art, and I did the writing.
Wow.
And of those three things, the art and the writing were definitely the stuff I was more comfortable with at the time, at the beginning, right? But the great thing about Magpie is that it's exceptionally skilled. It's very, it's a veteran of making PBTA games specifically, so Powered by the Apocalypse. So the fact that I was fitting into that format meant they had a lot of good advice to give. And Mark especially worked with me, and basically it was just a sort of constant back and forth of refining the moves, the basic moves, and the core mechanics and things like that. And that was super helpful. And I think, I mean, it has been a very full amount of work, especially as the Kickstarter has happened. But in my off time, I have been making other RPGs, as you do. And I've seen how much easier it is for me to realize, okay, this isn't working. Let's completely remove it and create a different system for this thing. And that's been mostly because of Magpie's sort of diligent efforts. So I appreciate them for that.
So we kind of danced around it, but just saying. So Rapscallion is a Powered by the Apocalypse RPG.
Yeah. Earlier, huh?
With there being so many different Powered by the Apocalypse games, is there any when you're designing it? Is there any like what's the word? I'm trying to think of the right word of wanting to like kind of like pick and pull from other different games for inspiration, that kind of thing. When you get stuck on say like a playbook or something.
Yes, that's the other useful thing about Magpie is that they've made so many. So they're like, oh, you're stuck here, have the roots PDF or whatever, So that's been really nice. I think, although the core of the game was made quite in a vacuum. So I had this sort of like amalgamation of half-remembered games that I had been reading. And as a result, I think some of the core mechanics are relatively unique to PBTA games. I think the compel mechanic I haven't really seen before. But there's other things like, Monster Heart's strings system and the debts system for Urban Shadows. Both are good ways of indicating like bonds between people. And I thought that was very helpful for a pirate game where you have like a close-knit crew. So I think the bonds, which is the mechanical term for it, or Rapscallion, ended up coming from those two games. So just as one example, I think there were a couple others too. For instance, one thing we struggled with in Rapscallion was this thing that they call the catch-all move, the take a risk move.
Gotcha.
pretty mainstay in most PBTA games, where because of the moves system, which is essentially a bunch of separate mini games for different narrative devices, right? Like, oh, fighting an opponent is one mini game, and then for Rapscallion, like playing a trick on someone is another mini game. But there wasn't any move like that in Rapscallion for your player wants to do something wild and crazy, clearly risky, but there's no move that explicitly says that that's what it's about. So how do you make them roll dice if the only thing they can roll dice on are moves, you know, in PBTA games? And the answer is this catch-all move, which is usually like act under pressure, you know, is a good example. It's like a relatively vaguer title that can refer to anything where you're like stressed and need to do something quickly. And we ended up doing, what we ended up doing was we, for pirates, we decided that would be playing a clever trick. So
Nice.
If you're going to do something weird and out of the ordinary, it has to at least be a clever trick. And that's like that's how we managed to incorporate it into the pirate thing. So that's like a small example of how like you take the common structures, the well-trodden paths of a lot of other PBTA games, and then you try to find a way like, okay, how can we incorporate that, or do we even want to, you know?
So, speaking of pirates, what are some of your favorite, both historical and fictional, even if it's like fictional portrayals of historical pirates?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I did a lot of research for the game. I mean, it's not very historically accurate, I'd say. It has the ability to be, but it's a relatively flexible system in terms of how much you want to be as historically as accurate as possible. I think a lot of these pirate ships had like 200 crew members apiece, right?
Wow.
So how, and if you want to make a narratively cohesive pirate game, how do you represent that? Well, some people are going to want 200 strong crew members and just make it as realistic as possible. And some people are going to want like, no, I want a One Piece thing where there's 5 of us crewing this ship somehow,
Right.
and don't ask questions, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So with that in mind, I still wanted to do a lot of research to know like how the pirate ship work. And there was a lot of fun stuff. I also read a lot of novels, watched a lot of stuff that was like historical pirate. Watched the original Treasure Island, watched Muppets Treasure Island, which is probably the best one. Easily very important. That's another one. Muppets Treasure Island. There we go. Rapscallion influences Muppet Treasure Island. Obviously, we watched Our Flag Means Death when it came out because we were like, oh, it's like pirate themed, you know. Watched Black Sails. Read The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi, which I really recommend. It's like a fantastical pirate tale set in the Mediterranean, not Mediterranean, the Indian Ocean. So really cool stuff. Yeah, lots of fun influences to draw from. As for historical figures, there's a lot of really good ones. A lot of Blackbeard tales. Not even Blackbeard, just all of the weird rumors people would have about that guy.
Oh yeah,
is even more interesting than the guy himself in some ways. Obviously, the great Chinese queen of pirates, she was a huge influence. I wanted to draw from 3 separate piratical seas, so I wanted there to be a variety.
Gotcha.
And so I did the South Chinese Sea, I did the Mediterranean, I did the Caribbean, obviously. And I wanted those were the 3 that I was willing to draw from and willing to do research for. And I think I mentioned them in the book too. You know, like, hey, if you need a realistic setting, these are the 3 things that we used.
Gotcha.
So you see references to a junk or to a mountebank and things like that.
That way it's not it's not so. It kind of diversifies the setting a little bit more by incorporating different types of pirate culture.
Yeah, and you can get the quick start for free online, but one of the big things that we wanted to add to the proper book, and we didn't have very much room to do it, so I had to cut down a lot, but we wanted to include a bunch of, potential NPCs and factions and things like that. And I used references and characters drawn from those 3 piratical like seas, right? Like historical figures and historical pirates from the seas. And I thought that would be the most helpful way of like visually indicating it.
Sounds like you just need to make a sequel book that's just NPCs.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was an 80-page chapter, and they just didn't tell me to stop. And then eventually, the poor project manager got hold of the project, and she was like, "We need to cut 40 pages out of this 80-page chapter."
Oof.
And I was like, "Okay, it was probably the hardest edit part to make, but we did it. And there's still 40 pages in there, so hopefully it'll be enough."
It just that reminds me of the way off topic, but when they had Christian Bale be set up to do Batman from The Machinist, and he was at like some like sub 100 pounds, and they had him gain weight, and he like ballooned up to 220, and they're like, "Whoa, that's too much." Sorry, it just
Poor
that
guy.
huh?
That sucked.
Yeah.
Damn. Like, yeah, actors sometimes have a rough go of it. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, I just feel like that's kind of just you're just writing all of this stuff, and then the project was like, "Whoa."
It's true. Yeah, like there's certain factors at play in making a book like this. I have some experience with like traditional book publishing, and there's a lot of differences. In a lot of ways, doing an RPG is much more complicated because you have so much formatting to do, right? Like the book, for instance, uses tags, which is a specific mechanical term that you'd use to describe items or NPCs. So an NPC can be loyal. That can be a tag, which you just have a list of tags, and that's supposed to represent sort of shorthand for all of these mechanical benefits or detriments that they might give you. So you have a weapon might be like reach versus close versus far, and that indicates how their range is for the weapon, simple stuff like that. And all of the tags in the book need to be flagged as tags and formatted correctly as tags so people reading it know that that's what that is. And so it's much more finicky than a traditional book publishing, where there's like, I don't know, 3 formatting decisions max. Like
Right.
You've got the chapter headers, you've got the regular text, and then maybe you have italics, and that's it. But there were like, I think, more than 20 formatting things that we had to put into Rapscallion. So
I imagine it's pretty
Pretty
similar to like a nonfiction book, like a reference book, because that's kind of where it is.
Yeah, exactly. No, very similar.
So, obviously, kind of, I feel like it's somewhat started with like Pirates of the Caribbean, but now we've started to get more of these fantastical takes on like the golden age of piracy, and kind of like there's this like appeal and somewhat romance that we associate with it. Why do you think the reason for that is kind of like persisted so long?
I think pirates become most popular when there is discontent with authority. I think I think there was a big surge of interest in them in the 1920s during like the Great Depression and stuff. And this may be just me back, like sort of armchair psychology, right?
Yeah.
But I think for me anyway, that's the appeal of pirates in my mind. And that's why I think Rapscallion really differentiates itself from something like Seventh Sea. Seventh Sea is sort of, it's very rooted in, well, it's a magical alternative history, but it's clearly Europe, right? It's a European, like with various nations, each of them with their own magic system. It's much more rooted in sort of a political, swashbuckly, adventuresome type of pirate. And what I wanted to do was differentiate that, because for me, the sort of core of piracy is like that they're so weird, you're weird and you're a misfit and you're an outcast. and you're on the run from the law because the law fundamentally does not understand you and doesn't care to. And obviously, I think real world pirates, there was a grain of truth to that. Sure, like many pirates were, social, ethnic, cultural minorities, but they were also, criminals.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of leeway there, where I think in retrospect people have this romantic vision of piracy because it represents freedom in a way that a mere swashbuckling political court narrative does not.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. I hadn't even thought about that, but that makes, at least from my my armchair psychology, that sounds about right.
It sounds like just enough BS to work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was the core of the book, and I think for a PBTA game, which is very narrative focused, you need to know what the theme is going in. You need to know what the exact experience you want to evoke is. And I think that if I had to pick a core of that piratical narrative adventure, that's what I would do. That's what I would say.
Okay. So when Hollywood comes knocking and wants to do a Rapscallion movie, who would you cast in the movie?
Wow, this is this is a lot of aggrandizing. Oh my god. I'd want it to be animated.
Okay.
But if it were live action, this is me being an artist, right? Like, oh, it would be fun to have like a 2D animated, maybe a 3D animated movie. That'd be awesome. I don't even know.
Never thought about it?
Never thought of, I know 3 actors max, right? So
okay.
If I could tell you, the guy who played Barbossa in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies looked like he was having a grand time. I loved his energy. Someone with his energy would be awesome. Couldn't tell you that guy's name.
Hey, that's fair.
But he was doing great. He was killing it. He had the pirate lifestyle down. Yeah, I coming up blank. I know exactly the people who were involved in Lord of the Rings. Those are the actors' names that I know.
Gotcha. So you just want Lord of the Rings on the high seas?
No, I think Lord of the Rings is much more. I think people give Lord of the Rings a bad rap sometimes for being a little too twee, a little too sentimental. And I don't think it is, but I do think it has a strongly morally just attitude. It's like, yes, we are doing this for the people who are good, and people are good, and we're doing it to save them, And I think that Rapscallion is much more selfish than that.
Right.
You're doing it because you're surviving, really. And if you get rich, awesome. I think it's important that Rapscallion is not really about villains, but you're not heroes either, right? You're somewhere in the middle. You can try to be Robin Hood, but you're Robin Hood with a long shadow,
And also, the sheriff's right behind you.
Yeah. And he's got a really big gun, is the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Sheriff's gun is huge. And he's going to shoot you so bad, is the problem.
So you talked about how you did all 30 aspects. What was your favorite part of designing the game between the writing, the art, and I'm assuming probably not the layout. That seems like one of those like it has to get done sort of thing.
I wasn't the layout artist, although I have done layout in the past. So perhaps fortunately, I didn't have to trawl through my own writing. I don't know. I think probably all of them were really cool in their different ways. And I'm glad that I got to do all of them. I was really hoping I could do all the art for the book, for instance. Like it's a lot of art. And Magpie was like, hey, we might have to get, depending on deadlines, we might have to get another artist in just to warn you, just to prepare you for that. And it never had to happen. All of the art in the book is mine. And that's really nice. to have like a vision that it has cohered from all of these disparate elements over 5 years is cool. It's a cool feeling. I think my favorite. I think the place I learned the most is the designing. So I think that would probably be my favorite. As much as it was fun to coast on being an okay writer and artist already, it's cool to be like, oh, like to create an RPG is the best way to learn how RPGs work, because you have, it's crazy how much the games you have already played structure your mind.
Yeah.
Like you don't even realize the box you're living in until you play a different game and you're like, oh, I have to deconstruct, I have to get out of the box. I didn't even know I was in this box, but now suddenly like all my preconceived notions are being challenged when I didn't even know they existed.
Right, you got to find the box first before you can break out of it.
Yeah, exactly. You're a fish, you don't know what water is. So that was the fun part, was like, it was very revelatory. It was like, oh, okay, this is in many ways, I think people see PBTA as less complex than other like systems that are a little bit more wargamey, right?
Yeah.
D&D being one of them.
I would say those people have never really played a PBTA game.
Yeah, well, I would say they're less complicated, but I think a lot of the complexity ends up being in the really tiny distinctions between words, right? It's a narrative game, so all of the like mechanical weight is on like word choice and how to describe specific triggers for moves and things like that. And that was very fun to see, like, I can change one word in this sentence and it will completely adjust the way the game is played. It was very cool.
All right, so I've for those, and I'll have a link in the show notes to the backer kit. I've got the backer kit pulled up right here for Rapscallion here. It looks like late pledges are still open. I'm assuming the full product hasn't been shipped yet.
No, but I believe this is a little embarrassing because I did not myself back my own project, as you might imagine. So I don't get the emails
Gotcha.
that are like updating it. So sometimes my friends will text me like, hey, good news.
Nice.
Look what they showed us in the email. But yes, it should be, I think it should be soon, within the year.
And it looks like that this is amazing. It looks like the all-in pledge is only $70. That gets you the hardback of the book. I'm assuming the phone means a digital form, and the PDF. But we've also got a dice pack, a dice tray, and I'm assuming a GM screen behind there, all for $70. That's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff, and I also did all the art for those too.
I would imagine, cool, considering it all kind of flows together. I would imagine so.
Yeah. I hope people will like it. Obviously, having the Kickstarter happen and then having to see all the stuff that people managed to get, and then trying to make it so that I'm proud of the work and that they'll like it. It's always a lot of it's pressure, but I'm excited. I hope people like it when they see it.
Yeah, or if you just want to try the game out, like I mentioned, there is a free PDF on it as well, but you can just, looks like $20 gets you just the core PDF book, or if you want a hardback version, it looks like $40 as well. However, it looks like all these prices are going up after the backer kit fully closes.
Exactly. Yeah, I believe when it hits stores, it will be a little bit more expensive. Right now, the free PDF is smaller. I think it might be only about 80 pages. I can't quite remember, but it has all the stuff you need to play. It's just that the full book will have like a bunch of materials. It will have more fleshed out DM section, for instance. It's sort of the full experience, but you can go out and play it now. Let me know what you think. I'd love feedback even after we finish the book.
Was there a lot of that during the kickstarting, where it's kind of one of the benefits of Kickstarters? You can kind of put some of the rules out and get like a little bit of play testing from your backers while you're still doing the physical development in the background.
Yeah, I think the project manager's name is Liz, and she was starting to get annoyed with us because we kept even down to the wire, we kept changing it. I think the book, the move for it's called getting into a scrap, which is the move for fighting. You know, one of the biggest moves in the game, changed almost completely, like right before we finished all of the book formatting. So yes is the short answer. It was very cool to have all of these responses coming in as we were doing the quick start or the Kickstarter. It was really, really fun. I loved getting the feedback and
Just pausing for a sec because apparently the audio got a little weird. So probably could have just let it go. There's only like 3 more minutes, but just wanted to see if I stopped and started it, if it went through again.
incorporating it. It's so cool to see everyone's perspectives and to hear. I mean, people love talking about their games. People are like, "Yeah, I was a pirate and it was awesome," and I'm like, "Explain, say more about that." All you give me is so helpful, and also I love to hear about your insane experience as a pirate. So.
All right, I have one last question, and you got spared because we had to record this separately. You got spared my normal bad jokes with the news, so I have to ask: do you have a favorite pirate joke?
Oh, geez. Probably a stupid one about R. Let me think about this. Here, you have to vamp. You have to vamp. You have to say your pirate joke.
I can say, yeah. My favorite one is, what's a pirate's favorite letter?
Oh, okay. Well,
and you know the natural response is you go R, and you go, no, they love the sea.
They love the sea. Yeah, you're not sure which one. It depends on which pirate, I guess.
So that would be my favorite because it's a twist.
That was what I was thinking of, but I was like, I can't remember the setup, so it's not going to make any sense. I just know that there's R in it and then the C. Yeah.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for coming on to talk about Rapscallion. So I'm going to have a link to the backer kit in the show notes, but where is the best place people to find out more information or keep track on its progress?
Backer kit in Games official website, I think, has the free PDF you can get for all the basic version of the rules. If you want to look at that, and I believe if you do that, you can also sign up for the mailing list and stuff if you're interested. Yeah, those 2 places are the best places.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And for following you online and other works that you end up doing after this, where's the best place to go?
Oh, me? Okay, this is going to be embarrassing. I do have an Instagram, but I'm mostly on Tumblr these days. Is that weird? Is that bad? I feel like it's bad. And I also have an official website. So
you also have a Patreon, right? For your
artwork.
Have a
Patreon, yes. Oh, so smart. You're so intelligent. Okay. I have a Patreon and an Instagram under the name Art of Whistler, all one word. And I believe my Tumblr is Kettlehead-Comics. So if you're interested.
Awesome. Look Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
All right, there you go. That was it. Sorry, it sounds like the stream may have gotten a little corrupted there a bit. But hopefully when you go back and watch the YouTube video, it should be all fine. I think it's all fine. All fine on this end on the podcast. I think it was the stream got corrupted there. Were you able to hear that at all, Philip?
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. Not something we're going to do a whole lot. It's always better to have the guests in here, but there are some circumstances where it will be, especially like there's people who want to interview like over in Europe where it's like not necessarily
5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, the time scale means they can't really come on during the actual show. I feel like there's one coming up. I don't know if it's next week or if it's the week, some point on their schedule. I thought I had already talked about it with someone, but anyways, so yeah, not something we're regularly gonna do, but it is nice little option to kind of have in the back pocket. So hopefully that'll get a little bit better in the time for the future. So hopefully y'all enjoyed that. I know I had a lot of fun when I was recording it, and especially just kind of, I definitely recommend everybody go check out. Like I said, I posted it in the show notes, the link to the backer kit, and just go scroll through the artwork because that alone is just amazing. Even like I have no interest in a pirate game, but like I see the artwork and I'm like, I kind of want this game now. So, with that, I think it's time for me to hit this button right here.
And that's been our show. Thanks for sticking around with us and putting up with our shenanigans like always. If you like what we do, you got to check out boardsandswords.com/live. It's got the link to where we stream. It's got the schedule we mostly stick to. And then boardsandswords.com, just the website in general. Check out everything we've got. It's got links to the Patreon, links to things that we've done in the past.
And if you're watching the live stream, stay tuned because we are going to do some bonus bits unless Philip's got to go to bed early, but I got none. So we're going to keep the stream rolling. We're going to do it live. But in the meantime, send us feedback. Let us know what you think about. We keep trying different things. Let us know what's sticking. Feedback at boardsandswords.com. You can also follow us on Facebook at Boards and Swords Pod, or I'm on Twitter at Boards and Swords, Instagram at Boards and Swords Chris, etc., etc. If you can't remember all that, boardsandswords.com's got the links to everything. Check it out. It's got the links also to our Patreon. Help support the show. We'll be back in 1 week because we're still off our game here. We'll be back next week with another show. We have Sam Knowlton here from Eldritch Foundry. They've supported us in the past, but they've got a new Kickstarter coming up and a new bit coming up where they're going to be doing color 3D printing of their miniatures, and so that one's going to be a lot of fun. In fact, there might be some free giveaway-ish stuff on there, so you're going to want to tune in. In the meantime, remember that every gamer has a story, and this one was pre-recorded in front of a live studio audience.